Hi guys, I'm ZelRazel and welcome to our story! Today is another reaction video from your Filipino mom! If you are new here, hi! I'm ZelRazel, your Filipino mom doing reaction videos online. And I also do live stream every 9:30 p.m. Philippine time. If you see this thumbnail, that's me going online. Yes. Be sure to hit that like button. If you enjoyed this video, consider to subscribe. Be a part of the family! Yeah! Alright, so today's video is from Miss Kendal Rae. If you haven't subscribed to her yet, search mo lang Kendal Rae on YouTube and makikita mo na siya. Currently, she has 2.46 million subscribers. Well, nag-subscribe na rin ako dyan. Hi, Miss Kendal Rae. Yes, I love your videos, by the way. Today, we're going to react on John Titor, time traveler from 2036. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, come on, come on. Side note, guys, she filmed this 3 years ago, October 2017. Pinublish na po to sa kanyang YouTube channel. And ngayon lang natin siya reactan. And let's see kung si John Titor is accurate with his predictions, I must say. Since he was from 2036. That's not too far from now, ha? How many more years yan? It's 15 years from now, guys, ha? It's not that far, 2036. Alright, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's start!
2000s, in November of 2000, John Titor said that he came from a military group on a mission to go to 1975. According to him, in 2036, everyone's recovering from a war. Right now, I know so many of you guys are like, come on, Kendall, why do you believe this? But there's like some real science to back this up. Just watch the whole thing. Give this video a chance. That's all I ask. But that was his original mission, was to go back to 1975 because his grandfather, according to him, worked with computers. And basically, after this big war happened, we lost a lot of our communication systems and computers and stuff like that. And we needed this old function on the computer that allowed basically to talk in different languages, different computer languages. Back then, no one knew that it had those things. And he said it was really common for like their military group to send people back in time who had relatives that they needed something from. So they sent him, and he said that something happened in 1975.
What happened in 1975?
That people now think he was hinting that something happened that stopped Y2K. And if you're old enough to remember, back in Y2K when it turned from 1999 to 2000, people were freaking out. They thought everything was going to go down, the calendars won't be able to work after that, and all this crazy stuff, all the computers will explode, like really bizarre thing. And people that believe in John Titor think that he changed something in 1975 that stopped Y2K from happening. Because of whatever happened in 1975, he had to make an unplanned stop in 2000. He said that was not part of his mission, but he went there, and it's crazy. He claims that this is just so, I feel like insane trying to explain this, you guys. Sometimes I'm like, what is my life? He went to his parents' house. He came around the time he was born, which is 1998. Sounds like he moved in with his family. He was able to convince them, it's me, I'm from the future, and then stay with his parents for that period of time, and also with his child self, his baby self. If it's true, that means that we are currently living on a timeline that was altered in 1975 by a time traveler. Before I get into all the things that John predicted, I want to get really deep and get you thinking about time travel. Now, we're going to talk about parallel universes and black holes, and it's going to get complicated. So put your thinking caps on, okay? Thinking caps on right now. John Titor gave such detailed information about time travel. So he said his time machine was about 500 pounds. It could fit in about a suitcase. That's how big it was. and you couldn't pick it up by yourself, so it had to be moved by car. So you would time travel in a car. It's like Back to the Future, the DeLorean. He literally posted diagrams of this, pictures of it. Over the years, no one has been able to find the original source of that picture. And all this stuff is really detailed, and like people who are mathematical geniuses have looked at a lot of this stuff and say his work and his information is so accurate. He basically said that the time machine was two mini black holes called micro singularities. He said if you eject electrons onto them and alter their spin, it creates a gravity field that allows you to move back and forth. Now, he said that there was a 1 to 2% difference in the world. Basically, what John Titor said is that time travel isn't time travel as we think. We as humans picture our world as this like linear line of time that moves forward. He said, no, that's not how it works at all. So if you have not seen Interstellar, they're time traveling. And they're time traveling through black holes. And John basically described multiple universes like standing in a fun house, and you have, you look to your right and you see a bunch of versions of yourself because it's reflecting over and over. You look to your left, you see a bunch of versions of yourself that's reflecting over and over. And those are all different universes. When you time travel, yourself, when you walk forward, your other selves walk forward into another time as well. It's impossible to get back to the original timeline that you were on. So if you time travel, you're always going to end up in one that might be slightly different. Is it possible we're connecting with our other selves that are in parallel universes on just odd things and we don't know why? Is that what deja vu is? So if you time travel, even though you probably wouldn't make it back to your original timeline that you're traveling from, your original universe, one of the versions of you will, so that you're always there. Really, really hard to understand. But if you have seen Interstellar, it really helps because it really talks about space and time continuum. And what's also really interesting, John Titor really said that UFOs are actually time travelers from future generations. Maybe space is just a giant network of time travel. So there's a company called CERN here in America, and they're not a super popular company because they keep a pretty low profile actually. John said that soon CERN is going to make the first artificial mini black holes, micro black holes. This whole ability to travel through time without getting crushed by gravity. CERN was going to start developing. And it turns out that is true. Look it up. They are already doing this stuff. Now, whoever this John guy was, very smart. He had a total understanding of physics, and he could draw up these things. He was willing to answer any questions. And the whole miniature black hole thing is not the only thing that's weird. He predicted that, he said it exactly, that Stephen Hawking would come forward and admit the biggest mistake of his career was he was completely wrong about how black holes worked. And people were like, yeah, right, he's not gonna say that. He did. He came forward and said, I completely had it wrong about black holes. And what's really interesting is a lot of the things that John is talking about in these forums, now scientists are coming forward and like backing up a lot of what he's saying. Now, it's really weird. The family has a legitimate lawyer. You cannot find any information on them. It's completely hidden for their protection. The mom released kind of this letter explaining that a lot of the posts that were made by different versions of John. They were making these posts on these internet forums for other versions of themselves to see in case they needed the information or were having trouble getting back. In 2001, Art Bell, and he had a show that was kind of on just kind of topics I do, honestly, and they got a fax from John Titor in the past. No one knows, it could be a joke, right? The fax said, in my future, there's a tower in New York. Where is it? There's a big skyscraper, where is it? And this was before September 11th happened, that this was read on Art Bell's show. And it turns out, later that year, 9/11 happens and the Twin Towers fall. That is a pretty big coincidence, if I do say so myself. He pretty much said that there were going to be something that he called internet nodes, which is basically wireless internet as we know it today. Because back then you had to be connected to a modem. Back then people thought it was crazy. People that were on this forum, like, they weren't even thinking that at this point. That's how old this is. And then wireless internet came out. Now, I do want to say that a lot of people think that the whole John Titor thing is a hoax. It has been written off so many times because a lot of his predictions weren't true. Now, the biggest thing that John Titor predicted that most people completely discredit him for, he said that there would be a civil war kind of starting around 2005. He said eventually in like around 2010, people would start each other on the streets, and by 2013 there would be a full-out world war. Keep in mind, he said there's a 1 to 2% difference. On a grand scale of like eternity, a 1 to 2% difference is a huge difference. It's possible he was just really early on these predictions for our current timeline. Maybe it happens in different times in all different timelines, I just want people to open their mind about it. I don't know if this is supposed to be civil war between like the right and the left, between races maybe. Goodness. Is it civil war between like us, the people, and the government? It kind of sounds like from what he's talking about that that's really what he meant. But he said there's some type of civil war in the United States, and it basically the rest of the world, that it launches a full World War III, and it's a nuclear war. Now, what I thought was interesting, he said that if we had nuclear war, it would be with Russia and China, but apparently these nuclear weapons aren't quite as destructive as the current ones that we have. And he said 3 billion people would die from this war, which is just insane. He was living in a time where after the war was over and people are going through a recovery time, and that everything changed, and that on a grand scale of humanity, the nuclear war was the best thing to ever happen to people. John said that by then there's kind of like a militia in the United States where everyone's part of it. It makes me wonder if this is true, are my future kids gonna be like forced to fight in some type of militia? I think it's really interesting that right now civil war, like it's like one of the most Googled things, and it makes like our current climate, I could see how it could end up in a civil war. But are they true? Because he was really off in the dates. We're here in 2017 and nothing has happened yet. So you have to remember that. And he said that pretty much every nation got involved in this war. He basically was saying that Russia started the World War III by bombing cities in the United States against the government, the US government, and John was on the other side of that. Makes me think the US government and control, you know, maybe people get more and more woke over the years, and government versus the people, and that Russia steps in to help the people. People would ask about global warming, and he would say that the ice caps aren't melting any faster than they're currently melting now. Another thing he talked a lot about was mad cow disease, which never really became like a big issue. But it is really interesting to note there are scientific studies, there are scientists who believe mad cow disease, or basically beef poisoning, could be some of the diseases that we have now that we call other things and we don't know is necessarily mad cow disease, one of them being Alzheimer's. So he said in the future pretty much everything was decentralized. Money, he said there's still money, credit cards, banks, everything, but there's not like a Federal Reserve controlling everything. He said music, people go away from electronic music, because I always thought in the future it'd be more electronic, but he says that it would actually be less and people would be using instruments and using it as more of a community healer. He said in 2036 we would have better health care, that it would be a lot more like the Western countries now. The only thing he said was different is that you would have a lot more house calls and home doctors than we're used to. And another really interesting thing is he said that mass media is going to kind of go down.
Isn't it happening?
And I see that happening. I mean, I think more and more people are realizing that mainstream news is barely talking about the fires in California, for instance. There's so much more information in other places and other sources. John basically says in the future we figure out that mass media and everything that we have is like a bunch of BS. Now we really turn to online creators. And remember, this is in 2000 that he was saying this. He was saying that in the future people will be uploading their own entertainment onto the internet. How back then could you have any idea what a content creator on YouTube would be, or an influencer? I mean, my job did not exist when I was a kid. The world has changed a lot, and it's really, a lot of it's really lining up with what he said. Whoever this John Titor person is had a very woke mind, a very understanding mind. I don't know, it could all be a bunch of BS. In fact, there's a ton of people that think that Larry Haber, that represents John Titor's family, is actually John Titor himself, and he has a brother who is a computer scientist. People think that the two of them like teamed up and did this. There is so much more on John Titor out there, and if you're interested in this topic and you're interested in time travel, look into it, because there are other examples of time travelers. There's so much out there that I didn't even know was there, and I feel like I'm opening a whole new world for myself by looking into all of this.
If you haven't watched our other reaction videos, ayan, you can play all my other reaction videos there. If you have any suggestions or comments for other videos that you want me to react to, just type it down below and maybe I'll choose the video that you will recommend, and I'll be giving you a shout out on my next video and live streams. Do you believe what John Titor is saying? I kinda am. Like, Kendal Rae did the video, it was back in 2017. That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. What she's talking about, John Titor, was way back in 2000 pa. We're here now at 2021. Some of the predictions are, don't you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? It's 2021 now. 2036. It's just 15 years from now. Please like and share, like and share. I'll see you guys on the next reaction video.